Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you? I think we are connected from multiple cities, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We have Bangalore, we have Sonipat, we have Greater Noida, we have Hyderabad with us.
Yeah.
Wonderful to meet you on this platform, sir.
Same here.
Always a pleasure meeting and seeing sir, listening to you. So many ideas we get.
वो तो आप लोगों से मिलके मैं सीख लेता हूँ छुप छुप के.
हम आपसे सीख लेते हैं sir.
I know. It's always the leader who actually leads the team. Yeah.
So we're just waiting for the live streaming, sir. As soon as they start, at all times throughout the session, I'll be moderating the session. I'm Divya from ITU. And I'll be posing the first question and handing over the baton to different leaders who've joined us today. And yeah, we're once again very thankful to have you.
Ma'am, I think the streaming has begun.
Great. Thank you, Pranja. So good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you today to this interactive panel discussion on the occasion of World Health Mental Day. And this day marks a really important day for us to start conversation, to start discourse and initiatives to prioritize mental health for all individuals and communities, including schools. In tandem with this year's themes, which is making mental health a global priority, we hope to make mental health care more accessible to all stakeholders in schools. In the aftermath of COVID-19, educators, counselors, leaders have brainstormed to no end about the learning gap. But today we focus on the well-being gap. It's absolutely no secret that the period of isolation for children has led to a decline in the well-being or to some extent even in developmental milestones, and has raised many concerns as soon as the schools reopened. And in fact, in a recent survey conducted by NCERT on student mental health, findings stated that the most commonly experienced emotion among students was happiness. However, there was a big decline as we moved up to higher grades. As educators, it's really important for us to value the students' experience in education and take preventive remedial measures to bridge this gap. And this connects very closely to the theme for our discussion today. So our theme for the discussion today is the head, hearts, and hands approach, and learning through the lens of well-being. As we speak about this approach, our focus today remains on how we can uplift the hearts while engaging the head and the hands, so that we can make our students ready to learn. We have with us our keynote speaker, Mr. Biswajit Saha, who is director at CBSE, and he is also involved in the design of curriculum, development of student resource books and training manuals. He closely engages and is a part of the execution of numerous trainings that takes place for teachers by CBSE Centers of Excellence. He's also been a key contributor to the developmental projects of World Bank, MHRD, and Ministry of Information Technology, UGC, and many more. He has mentored various schools, universities, educational institutes, and even industries around the world, and has an acute understanding of the best practices which can be implemented in the Indian context. We also have with us today, joining some of the front-running field experts with us, we have with us Dr. Dakshayani Khanna, who is the Chief Mentor at IRE Academy, Bangalore. She is also the Founder, Director, and Senior Principal at Harvest International School, Bangalore. Ma'am has 33 years of experience in the field, and her expertise lies in the field of leadership, instructional design, strategic development, and so on. She has been a resource person for various COE trainings, Aditya Birla Education Academy, and conducts training for teachers and principals on a regular basis. She is a trusted training expert as well as the certified counselor, and has also been serving on the helpline of Central Government Manodarpan CBSE Counseling Helpline. as well as the JNK Department of School Education Helpline in Ao Bakkare. She is nothing short of a dynamic leader and an expert who is highly attuned to the human element. We have with us Ms. Yamini Raju. She is the principal of Sanskriti School, Hyderabad, and has worked towards research in education and involving new teaching methodologies. Her conviction and passion are to promote the academic, emotional, and social well-being of all students under her care. She believes in working in synergy with the parent community as well as her colleagues. She's a natural at leadership and is open to pedagogical changes to create a positive and challenging learning environment. We have with us Ms. Kiran Malal, who is principal at Bright Scholar School, Sonipat. She is one of the most influential leaders in the domain of education, and she's known for her exceptional counseling techniques and her orientation skills. She's a leader who deeply connects with her students, her educators, as well as parents alike, and is attuned to the changing needs of all of her stakeholders. She's someone who walks the talk and ensures that the best practices all over the world are made accessible to make her students future ready. We also have with us representing National Hillview Public School, Unit 1, Bangalore, Ms. Regati Sundaresan, who is an educator and senior coordinator. She is an educator with a vision, and she's known for her innovative approach to pedagogy. She's an educator who not only looks at the best learning outcomes, but also ensures that the students receive a balanced education. As an awardee of the Teacher Innovation Award, she has showcased the power that lies in thinking outside of the box in the classroom. Lastly, representing Delhi Public School, Greater Noida today, we have Ms. Niharika Kara with us. She is a rehabilitation counselor and an educator as a part of the school's additional needs department. The team, which chooses to destigmatize mental health care in education, and team is one of the front runners in the country when it comes to counseling and special education. I would now invite Dr. Saha to share his views on the theme today and to point us in the right direction. Over to you, Mr. Saha.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon to all of you, all esteemed school leaders, and especially from the people from the psychology background. And moreover, without psychology also, I think human heart is a reservoir with the head and hand. Every activities are actually driven so that we are ultimately our psychology driven human actions we are doing every time. So today is a special day, and on these momentous occasions, let me congratulate my Pegu and all the school leaders who have joined us to a similar platform virtually right in this stage, and also those who are remotely from the different part of the country and different part of the world. And this year theme is very interesting, and that is mental health and well-being for all, a global priority. So theme itself is indicating us, Joe, usually we think in India and in every forum, and especially it is, although the politicians more use it, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, but ultimately in terms of mental happiness or mental illness, both with whatever maybe the term we coin, ultimately understanding each other. Understanding each other here, it may be for a teacher, how he or she understand his or her student, and similarly, an individual student, how in the neighborhood being accepted. So neighborhood, including the family. And today morning was also, I was just discussing about this mental health. Main agenda is many a time in the school ecosystems, whether it is up to certain age, it is parents-led behavioral pattern. And when that neurochemistry, these hormonal actions are more visible post 11 years or 12 years, then by that time, the decisions making ability, whatever may be the minimum, that usually starts. So then actually today's theme, hand, heart, and what else? Diba? Head.
And
So all those synchronizations starts. And in the process of synchronizations, I think somewhere that pattern-led behavior sometimes fails to understand one pattern, fails to understand the other pattern. Please excuse me, all the school leader and the teachers who have joined us remotely, because we feel or we usually decode the children's behavior in terms of our registered memory actions. So here comes the role of head first. So whatever we encountered so far, based on our head behaviors, we decode the pattern of the child, no matter whether it is 5 years child or a 18 years child. And according to the pattern, sometimes we advise something, sometimes we scold, or sometimes we call the parents. Now, ultimately, within this age group, different age group, and sometimes school leaderships refer or class teachers refer the child to special counselor. Even the word special counselor is also, I have reservations to use that, why it is special. Because that special word sometimes make the children understanding so horrific that they will going to either suppress this information at home, or even if the parents comes to know, yes, my child has been referred to a special counselor, means something wrong. And kabhi-kabhi to aisa hota hai, they comes to fight with the school leadership and school management. And this is a normal behavioral pattern of the parents. And taking this pattern, sometimes children starts arguing with the teachers. That's the initiation's point. Now, one way a corrective measure schools take to help the children to get rid of mental illness, but ultimately it converted into an environment illness. So that means somewhere there is a huge communications gap between the school and the parents. Mostly, the result sharing is very much phenomenal. PTM is also visible, but PTM के लिए parents का पास भी इतना time नहीं होता है. आके result देखते हैं, sign करते हैं, and then they get rid of. There are few parents who interact with all the teachers, including the counselor. So the role defined in the school ecosystems are very much scientific. But it is sometimes we misinterpret, and accordingly, due to this communications gap, I think every day they are a victim of these mental health issues. So ultimately, all these three components of your head, heart, and hands is being affected. And that's why whether it is a particular state or a country or globally, the issue is huge. Somewhere I was reading in last week, there is a $1 trillion economic loss due to this mental illness. So be it in school, be it in college, or be it in industry. Now coming back to my second component, now mental illness, many a times whatever, whether when an organization is arranging a particular workshop, we interpret it is for the student. But for me, for all of us, why not for the school leader? Why not for the teachers? Why not for the parents? Then that community of this mental happiness quotient I think we can foresee, and accordingly we can make our awareness campaign, so that instead of suppressing the children's behavioral pattern, the parents are going to come forward to share these discrete behaviors with the teachers, and there the counselor role would be huge, because that understanding is not there. Many a times we may misconceptually we can give a wrong suggestion, but a real counselor has that understanding, and accordingly, after 2 to 3 sittings, the things should be more clear to the parents, more clear to the subject teachers, and more clear to the peers. So my request to the school community, we have to understand and decode the children's behavior pattern. And for that, whatever scientific tools available, how we can utilize those use case, and accordingly create a database, so that whenever a new pattern comes, I think some way it should be registered in your database, and ultimately in long run, using AI-based tools or different psychological technique, personality technique, how we can help the learners, parents, and ultimately correct ourselves. So my message to the school leadership and parents would be, first of all, we have to respect the relationship. No matters from what backgrounds the students are coming and from what background teachers are coming, ultimately when they're serving as in an academic institute, every individualistic behaviors matters, and how we can help the learner to have a joyful experience in the campus, that should be the priority. And only then, these kind of celebrations would be more meaningful for all of us. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, sir. That was
Thank you so much, sir.
That was extremely insightful. And so, as you rightly said, there is a lot of stigma when we even talk about special education or counseling. And, parents are almost afraid to go to the counselor. They always think that there is a complaint, or if my child needs additional support in education, there is something wrong with my child. And at Maltigo, this is one of our core beliefs that we try to work towards. This is one of the core gaps that we try to work towards, where we want to make sure that, we reach all children. As you said, it can only become a part of making it a priority when we cater the service to everybody, students, teachers, parents alike, and not just those few students who've been referred or where there is a problem. So my biggest question to you remains that, how can we bridge this gap? How can we better integrate counseling departments into schools? How can we make sure that counselors move beyond that small population and work with the entire population? We would love to know your inputs on this. And also, in addition to that, we would also love to know if there are any upcoming initiatives aligned at CBSE which may help schools with a blueprint to achieve this.
Okay, fine. So first of all, we can think of creating a community in schools. It is sometimes physical education teachers, school librarian, and school counselor. Earlier computer teachers, they used to feel isolated. I think when a collective wisdom's being applied by the school leader, then every subject teachers, every class teachers can also become a counselor with the help of the main counselor in the schools. So instead of every time referring, so special case where it is not being manageable by the subject teachers or class teachers, they are supposed to be referred to the special counselor. Otherwise, individual subject teachers can discuss with the school counselor, this kind of problem I am facing with this guy. What would be the remedy? If needed, without the realizing in the classroom situations, maybe a friendly gesture way, the counselor may come and sit with the students, see the behavior, and ultimately advise the subject teacher. So ultimately that community need to be built, and then only we can bridge the gap. I know my PIGU is doing good works, so that understanding also need to be disseminated, and more awareness and what kind of tools are really useful. That also our school leader and through counselor network also. Because it's a huge, if we talk about CBSE's 25,000 schools, maybe in some school that qualified counselor is not there. Many times schools provide, maybe the psychology as a subjects are being offered. So, okay, whenever there is a school inspections, they show, okay, this teacher is also additionally look into the counseling activity. That is not done. Okay, if that role is there permanently, it should be reflected every time. It is not for some kind of stopgap arrangement. And tools for transformations which are readily available through different platforms, different university sites, more collective research is required. And that way, whether Kiran Dalal ka schools ka saath Sanskriti schools ka ek networking ho sakta hai, and how the behavioral pattern and the counselor of both the schools with the help of school leader can discuss through. So this kind of problem I have not encountered in DPS Noida, but this kind of problem is there in DPS Sharjah. So how to understand that pattern? So आपका भी wisdom बढ़ेगा, and ultimately based on this kind of micro understanding, we can help the community. Largely वही तरीका हो सकता है मेरा हिसाब से to bridge the gap.
Right, sir. Thank you so much for that. And I have to say that as a psychologist myself, I couldn't agree more. When we segregate everybody, the teachers, the parents, I think everybody becomes more attuned to children's needs, their wellness. And of course, peer support and peer engagement also contributes greatly to that. And that is what we're trying to do through this opportunity. So, Dr. Dakshayani, ma'am, I would love to hear from you as well, because being a mentor, I'm sure a lot of these issues are raised to you from time to time. What are your inputs when it comes to integrating the counseling department better in schools?
Thank you, Vishwajit sir. It was wonderful listening to you. You have put everything in a nutshell and put it in front of us. And thank you, Divya. As sir rightly said, everybody needs to be involved in the ecosystem. I definitely believe that it starts with the highest level of leadership in school. And I have been extremely lucky to work with 2 schools wherein the leaders are more concerned about the happiness of the students and holistic development of the students rather than academic performance. I don't say that academics is lesser, but mental health is equally important, and that's what is being shown. 10 years back when I started working with my PIGU, initially, you remember when you said orange, green, and yellow, I said no, red should not be there, because the parent is not going to accept if we say that there is some issue with the child. So that awareness of being a little difficult to, adjust to the situation is not wrong. Being open to understand the mental illness starts from there. Mrs. Amita, who is the chairperson of IRA, actually has 30:1. As Divya rightly said, these are called learning support team. These are all counselors who are there to help the children. Mr. Ramprasad, who is the chairperson of Harvest International School, the first question that he told me was, all children need to be happy. Do whatever you want to do. So that's where it comes from. And the second, each teacher is being trained or tuned to be a teacher counselor by my PIGU and by ICTRC. Dr. Ravindran, who runs it, has trained them to be teacher counselors. So they have the first level of expertise to ensure that children needs to be taken care of. And today, resilience is becoming a problem. You saw last year, last month itself, there were 5 known deaths that happened in Tamil Nadu of the students. Why is this happening? We definitely know. because these kids never wrote their board exams. They got the marks. They were put into streams which they could not handle. In such cases, what happens is understanding the child is step one. Counseling and then, making sure that the parents understand the need of mental health and being sensitive to it becomes the second. It's not only for the children, but also for the teachers. During COVID, you have seen teachers going through stress and difficult mental situations, parents as well. So holistically, all the stakeholders have to be involved, and social emotional skills where children are made to understand they can ask for help, and the way to ask for help. I think that's the starting point. As Sir said, that becomes very, very important for all of us to ensure that our children know that they can ask and they need to ask when they are in distress. That's what it is. Thank you, Divya.
That was extremely insightful, ma'am, and I completely agree. I think one of the first things that even we focus on as counselors is, to make sure that children know when and how to ask for help, because I think it greatly points towards development of life skills and self-sufficiency. So in order to make our entire cohort more self-sufficient, today we are adopting an interactive panel style. This means that leaders are going to ask each other questions, and every school participating here today is going to talk about how they do things in each of their respective schools, highlight their best practices, as well as get an opportunity to ask questions as well. So with this, we'll move forward to the second question for the evening. So Dr. Dakshayani, we would love to hear the question posed from IRA Academy from you.
Thank you, Divya. See, there are two parts to my questions, basically. These questions have come from the students and the chairperson and also the teachers, not mine. I'm going to put it across here, sir. Considering well-being from a holistic point, facilitators feel that post-COVID, there has been a complete lack of motivation in students. Students expect instant gratification, and there's quick burnout that is seen in all these students. In spite of group counseling sessions by MyPIGO and others that is happening, that, being resilient and then, being actually active happens only for a short period. They're okay, they're motivated, say, overnight or 2 days, but again, they get back to square one. They're always stressed. You ask them to do something, they're stressed, exam, they're stressed, and they have very low self-esteem and are reluctant even to try certain things which they used to do. That is from the teacher's side. From the learner's side, this is from grade 10 students of IRA. They said they've got used to more visual learning during COVID. It was nice for them because teachers used to ask them to prepare PPTs and then show the learning. That was very nice. But it's coming back to regular method. 3 hours of writing exams, they're finding it very, very stressful. So is there anything, again, this stress is leading to other things that are happening in their life. So they feel, how can we handle this stress? Is there anything that is being done to lessen the amount of 3 hours of learning in exam-related stress? Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So, Dr. Saha, we would love to hear from you, your inputs to the question put forward from IRA Academy.
Sorry, I'm really sorry. Can you repeat immediately? Just
Yes.
first part I got, but second part anyway. Can you?
Sir, the first part was regarding the demotivated students. We don't know how much ever we counsel them, how much ever we try to help them through counseling sessions, etc. That becomes very short-lived. And, again, they come back to square one. They're so reluctant, they don't even want to try and do things, which they were used to do pre-COVID. That was first part. The second part is children are happily our writing exam pattern of in grade 10, grade 10 students. They feel very stressed. Is there a solution? So that is what.
Okay. So I think for both the case, de-stressing mechanisms is very much required. And here again, I am focusing only one agenda, because what way we run the school, And who decided that 3 hours exam should be there in every classes? Okay, board, CBSE is a school board, and we benchmark the grade 10th and 12th. By the time they reach to this level, partially matured ho jata hai. What about the other class? So here, one, as I think some of you has rightly mentioned, that peer leaderships programs we organized in between, and more than 6,000 peer leaders are there who are active very much in terms of your mental ability and how they can be brand ambassador for the mental health awareness. But besides this one is pre-COVID situations and post-COVID, when more digital literate kids are coming back for their usual pen and pencil kind of writing. So there are definitely many school teacher, and even with the sitting posture for that. You have not mentioned, because some principals from Mirat, he mentioned that बच्चे लोगों को पूरा 1 घंटा डेस्क में बैठने का आदत भूल गया, because they usually lie down in sofa or bed and using this laptop or mobile. So initial, I think 7 to 20 days, they really face this problem. And I categorically asked what kind of redressal mechanisms you did. So I think detoxification issues, they try to utilize, given this some freedom in the classroom, and openly share their narratives while they were at home and during COVID. And ultimately, again, that's why I'm stressing on the freedom on relationships. And through that, children realize, okay, I can take some relaxations in the classroom, but beyond certain point of time, the discipline is also issue. But if you look into the individual's learning style, especially for the CWSN student, when you are giving a special relaxations, okay, they can sit because their comfort is your comfort. But if a normal student थोड़ा ऐसे बैठेंगे, तो teachers को जैसे लगता है children is not showing the respect, or immediately he or she becomes a big police officer like behavior. So that is also stressing. By name of discipline, you are not allowing the child to learn in the classroom. Okay, discipline, okay, properly, proper dress and properly sitting posture. Scientific posture it is always right. That understanding, I think, need to be explained. Through this, I think pre-COVID situations syndrome and post-COVID syndrome can be a distressing experience. And exams-related stress, I think we all have to work with a special thought that what way assessment can be carried out so that it does not look like exams.
Absolutely, sir. That
Absolutely,
was
sir.
wonderful, sir. That was wonderful. And then, as you rightly said, this question was posed by grade 10 students only. And I have been telling them that, yes, this is the way, come on, let us see. It becomes a challenge, and, teachers are handling it well. And as you rightly said, it's going to be a whole process of bringing them back to that discipline.
Yes.
And then at the same time, teachers understanding how it needs to be handled. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
It might
Thanks
take
to the
them
child
some time.
who
It may
raised that
take
question.
some time. According to me, I feel it is laziness than stress right now. So
Okay,
it
yes.
is easy to, say stress. जो हमने 8 साल लिखा है वो भूल गए, 2 साल टाइप किया है वो याद है उन लोगों को. So it's just that what you said, sir, very well pointed. Given we to be little free with them, and try to get them back, and than being little strict and all those things. Yes, we will definitely get them de-stressed and motivate them for the exams, final exams.
think that's a great point, ma'am. Whether it is stress, whether it's motivation, the individual factor or the individual difference always comes in. And I think looking at those individual differences and recognizing that these students are unique in their own right is one way that we can approach this gap. So, Yamini ma'am, we would love to hear the question from Sanskriti School, Hyderabad, to Mr. Saha. Please feel free to go ahead with your question.
Yeah, sir. Sir, in the Indian sector, in the education sector, we are looking for various global practices like models. We go, abroad and, we try to get in more classroom learning centric things. So how can we integrate head, heart and hands in the contemporary education system?
I think NEP should be used as a mantra for joyful learning, experiential learning, competency-based assessment. I'm just using the terms so that it gives a heat, and ultimately we can really create a joyful experience in the classroom or in the campus, because many a times the curriculum-led pedagogy is sometimes stopping the child's imaginations, innovations, and their creativity. So, if suppose Birgatha projects is going on, if children goes to a neighborhood, any monument, and take their own style of learning, you give that assignment, and some project they come up with. And ultimately, let us analyze, let them give the presentations. And for the sake of their whatever, usually children expect some good marks because parents are happy with that. More happy. So you can award. Who stops you? The whole purpose of this holistic progress report and no heart separation journey in NEP, I think is talking about all this 3H only. And you have chosen that theme, I'm happy. So through that, I think we can create a conducive environment in the school. And secondly, people are talking about 21st century skill. And this term is more coined outside the country. But already, if you look into I'm not naming a particular state, some states' product, rather human resource, are already attuned with entrepreneurial skill without looking into the financial literacy manual. It's there in the DNA. If you go to some other state in India, they have attuned with their cultural creativity. So how we can mix and match, exchange, through that also a motivational experience it could we can really give to the learner. I think that would be a more there should be more fun and enjoyment in the classroom. I have seen in some Finland classroom, post lunch, they played a good music, and thereafter maths teacher starts teaching. Are you going to allow that with high sounding thoda disco dance ho jaye, and thereafter you asking that? Because teachers sometimes feels मेरा लिबर्टी खो जाएगा. वही बच्चा after 12 college में जाके मोबाइल लेके भी घूमता है. वो I am not telling you allow this. I am not telling you allow the gadget, but at least a free environment you can instill in the classroom. That is actually, ultimately, it will convert into all 21st century skills. And whatever this mental health and other issues we are discussing, I think gradually over next 10 years or 20 years, the problem will be there, but solution it will be very much in your doorstep. You don't have to knock the other doors.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
So talking about 21st century learning skills, I think at Bright Scholar School, Sonipat, with Kiran ma'am students, we have a dynamic bunch of students who we had an opportunity to interact with recently. And I think this is something that is also something that ma'am promotes. So ma'am, what are your inputs regarding this?
Yeah. Once again, good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Saha has already thrown so much of light on this and explained it so well. That is according to new education policy. Yamini ji, my only suggestion is like when we do in our school, the best practices that we do for this type of thing, how to make them future ready. We have a buddy system, we have peer group learning, flexibility, as sir said very rightly. Many times teachers think that if we give them some flexibility, maybe the discipline is gone in the class, as sir was discussing. But it is not gone. Believe me, we have practiced in the class. Give a chance to the child to teach or maybe explain. Maybe 2 students, 4 students. Randomly go to the class and say, okay, today we're not going to learn anything. We have this topic, we were supposed to do it. And when we are talking to them about this, then we come to the same topic and let the children only tell certain things about it. And believe me, children know everything. I don't know from where do they know. I think as sir was saying, it's already there in the head. The knowledge is already there. Perception is already there. Only thing is, how do we motivate them to bring out the knowledge? And if we motivate them, if we say, oh, we know all this, we've already done water cycle, we have already learned about rains, how do they come? And see how they start telling the same stories and they connect. And in this way, no stress, no problems, and the learning is very, very effective. And there are sometimes noisy classrooms also. As principals, we have to wear the noisy classrooms and we have to welcome them. And we have to tell the teachers there's nothing wrong in doing it. Please go and practice this. Do it. Share your ideas. Let the children also speak up. We have to be flexible. And there are some children who really need help. We have to identify those children. As we were talking about flexibility, bagless policy, such a wonderful thing which has come up. We've already done in school. And the day when we do this bagless, 10 days of bagless, I mean, the activities which are done, see the enthusiasm of the students. They come dancing to school and they feel so happy that everywhere you'll see that they're so excited to learn something very good is going to happen today. And whatever you teach them in those classes, that's the smartness and planning of, as we were talking about pedagogy. We can plan the syllabus, curriculum led. So we can inculcate the curriculum into those activities. And believe me, the children, they come out with very good solutions. But only thing is, we as elders, we as teachers, we as leaders, we as teachers, we are afraid of this. That if we practice, if we experiment this thing, it's going to be a flop show. But it is never so. Children, they come out with beautiful solutions and you give them duties, you give them assignments and they will do very well. And you will feel very happy that your work is done within minutes, within seconds. There's something which a teacher wants to explain in 1 period or 2 periods, the children can explain in 10 minutes and everyone understands because they are at the same level. If we talk about psychology, if a child is teaching the class, the child is teaching from that level, that mental level of the same child who are learning. So the learner and the one who is teaching, they are of the same mental level. So then they can connect better. Children can also connect, the learner can also connect, and the one who is teaching can also connect. So we keep doing so many experiments in this way. And I'm happy that you gave me the opportunity to share this. There are many best practices that we are doing such type of experiments every day in classroom is happening. And I'm happy that it is bringing positive results. Nothing negative to that. So that's what we do here. That was my take on this. And thank you very much, sir. You highlighted the same points that most of them we are doing in the school.
Great.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for highlighting your best practices, ma'am. I think that's been very insightful and, it's really a charm how well these techniques work with students. They're so adaptable and learning then truly becomes experiential. And as you rightly said, identification is really crucial. So at that note, I would pass on the baton to Kiran ma'am for the question from Bright Scholar School.
Oh, my question was again the same thing. We have been talking about stress. Many times the children are there. We even identify that this child is maybe undergoing some type of problem, some type of stress, and we want to help. But sometimes the parents don't give us the same support as we want. As sir very rightly said, they feel that it's a stigma. If we try to talk to the child, they feel, no, my child is not suffering from anything like this. The child is not mentally sick. Today also we had lots of sessions in the morning on mental health with different age groups. So some children they really need help. So teachers silently they want to help. The principal can also wish to help. Counselor is also there. We make a very good team. But the parents intervene and they say, no, nothing is required. Please leave. So my concern is, shall we go back and we should leave the child unattended and let the child heal as is on his own, or do we intervene silently somewhere in between? What should be our responsibility and action to it is?
छोड़ना तो नहीं है, अभी करना कैसे है, इससे प्रॉब्लम. सो पेरेंट्स का नंबर है आपका पास?
यस.
और आजकल तो सब पेरेंट्स व्हाट्सएप भी यूज करते हैं.
यस.
मेरा निवेदन रहेगा, बच्चों का प्रॉब्लम का हिसाब से देयर वुड बी, इस प्रॉब्लम होने से अगर हम नेग्लेक्ट करेंगे, व्हाट कुड बी द कॉन्सिक्वेंस. डिफरेंट सोशल मीडिया में वीडियो है. नहीं हो तो आई रिक्वेस्ट माई पीगो टू प्रोवाइड समथिंग टू यू, एंड दोस माइक्रो वीडियो फॉर 30 सेकेंड 40 सेकेंड्स आप 3-4 दिन ऐसे ही गुड मॉर्निंग का साथ भेजिए and see the response, and especially after 1 or 2 days you can request whether similar symptoms are you able to notice in your child. If yes, then you contact us. If no, everything is normal, please delete these videos and ignore. This is one kind of intervention. The second kind of interventions, of course, physically, you can bring them in your chamber and silently over a cup of tea or coffee you can discuss the matter. And I think parents भी इतना सब तो अपना सोचते हैं, आपका पास नहीं आने से भी they will go elsewhere for consultations.
Correct.
और आपका बात नहीं मानेगा तो कंसल्टेशंस करके आके फीडबैक जरूर देगा आपको. हाँ, आपका स्माइल लेने के लिए दोबारा आएंगे पेरेंट्स, ऐसा भी नहीं है.
Thank you very much, sir. Very rightly said that slowly and gradually we can give this feedback, that small snapshots can be sent to them, that
Yes.
this may be a problem. Now we are not talking about your child, but see someone is suffering like this. So please.
How can we help?
Yes.
As a parents, how can you help the other child? वो भी बोल
Yes.
सकते. अगर
Correct.
खुद का प्रॉब्लम होगा खुद ही आएंगे.
Yes.
ठीक
So
है.
passively we can promote this.
करना पड़ेगा, जो मानेगा नहीं क्या करेंगे.
Correct.
उनके लिए तो कुछ
Sometimes
तरीका.
like
आप लोग बहुत लोग करते भी है, ऐसा नहीं है समथिंग न्यू वी आर डिस्कसिंग. बहुत लोग करते भी है ऐसा. ठीक है.
Thank you very much.
Anand beautifully puts, I think bridging that communication gap is the first step to
Yes.
be able to help a child. And, it can't be said enough. So we thank you for the input. I want to pull in Dr. Dakshayani because she's also been a part of setting up learning support teams. And I'm sure these kind of queries are addressed to her often, What is the scope of intervention? And what is the point of intervention? So how do you guide your team now?
Thank you, Divya. As sir said, it cannot be direct. If I call any parent and tell them your child is having an issue, the first thing will be probably I will also say, no, I know my child very well. And what you're saying is a wrong interpretation of something that he has been doing. So the first thing that we do as a learning support team at AIRA, I have seen, they've got 30:1 as the counselors who are there, who will be in the classes. As sir said, we are not going to separate them. They're all inclusive, so they get into the classes and start looking at the response of the children. But before that, even at Harvest, we have seen that all the teachers need to be trained on how to identify these issues. And for that, we have two areas. One is addressing teachers. Are they mentally sound? Are they having any issues? Okay. Is the principal able to understand? So I would say at Harvest, they've got one mental, wellness, or I would say wellness program. So every month they have a couple of hours of online meeting that they do, wherein teachers talk. It's an open talk. They share the issues that they have. That's one of the ways where you can come across, and these teachers are sensitized that just like what we have, children will also have, and they lead to children's this thing. At AIDA, it's more specific. We have manpower. because Amita ma'am, being a psychologist herself, she believes that there has to be a support given to children. So 30:1 is a good ratio wherein individual attention is given to these children. And as Kiran ma'am said, we have a lot of good practices that happen in both the schools, especially when you look at IRA. One-on-one connect with the parent is happening all the time. Options that are available for children is discussed. The PTA is actively involved. So without naming the child, we ask, okay, this is the issue that we are having. Can you give your inputs on how to help this particular child? We don't mention the name of the child. Collective suggestions are taken, and then the parent is spoken to and the child is spoken to. That way it helps. And at Harvest, that has been a practice that is from the beginning we identify. Teachers are trained in both the schools by MyPIGO and also others to identify the issues. Identification. Second problem is acceptance. Acceptance of the parent that my child requires help, and then actually implement. I think involving children will be the best way, because the council, student council, and grade coordinators and all these kids are very enthusiastic and they want to help others. So if we bring in those skills of communication in them, how they need to speak to these children, how to support, that will solve the issue. Thank you so much, Divya, for the opportunities. These are some of the things that we do at
Thank you
ours.
so much.
Thank you so much.
It was lovely to know the
Thank
practices at IRA Academy and what we can pick up from there. But your
Just a minute, just 1 second. I'll take less than a minute only.
Please,
Thank you very much, Dr. Dakshani. As you rightly said, and as you mentioned, like Professor Ravindran, when he talks, he says every teacher is a counselor.
Yes. And I believe in that, because more than 50%
also believe in
of
that.
teachers, yes.
Yes, and we do the same, like listening is there, and then every teacher tries to be a counselor. And with MyPIGO, we are doing a lot of things whether we try to identify and find out the problems.
Okay.
My concern was only this child is, when he is left or when we are discussing about such problems, silently, passively, we do discuss like this, the problem we discuss the problem, not the name of the child or name of the teacher.
Correct.
Many times even teachers have such type of issues.
Yes.
So we
Yes,
do
yes.
not discuss it with name, we discuss with the problem.
Absolutely.
So we try to find out solution also, not directly, indirectly. And then we try to apply this. So thank you so much for that. And we do a lot of things, but still, it's always
Yes,
a
there is
learning.
plenty to do, because problems come where we don't expect them, and whatever
Yes.
problems we have solved will not come for the second time.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Divya. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kiran ma'am. I think I was just about to get to that. Educators are at the forefront, and that brings me to Revati ma'am, who is a trusted expert with amazing experience with on-ground challenges, and she has adopted an innovative approach, and she is one of the front runners when it comes to innovation and pedagogy. Ma'am, I would invite you to add your question to Mr. Saha from National Review Public School Unit 1, Bangalore.
Yes, as we know, NEP talks about a holistic report card, which focuses on the uniqueness of every child. Head, heart, and hands are crucial to ensuring we reach out and teach all students. However, all students do not learn in the same way or at the same pace. So what should be the proportion or priority for each of the 3 H's to bring about a holistic and balanced development among students?
Very good question. I think we need to see the localized issues more intensely. And based on that situations, the class teachers can decide what percentage of head, what percentage of hand, and what percentage of heart. Of course, it is a missing link always, but head and head, because so far, if we look into the curriculum pattern, mostly head, knowledge base. But in case of the young minds, if it is more activity based, automatically the hand would be involved. So this is number 2. And number 3, heart is what way the teachers behave, because until class 5th, at the age of maybe 12th or 3rd, maybe till grade age 12, many students think to become teachers in their future life. So that means the role model of teachers in the primary or the lower classes, they are nicely manage the children. But after that age group, there are huge diversity and nobody wants to become teachers. You are better, you can just endorse me and you can correct me. Now that is also psychologically deeply we need to understand why this is. Okay, some things related to ambitions and other packaging and all, but why it is happening? And for me, number one is the behavior of the teachers. So that localized issues need to be addressed, and accordingly, the ratio can be decided by the class teachers. And that autonomy, no prescriptions we should allow. Even as a principal, you should also don't intervene because it is their platform. Let them handle the situations on their own way.
Yes, sir. We have the art integration that CBSE has implemented. So there's more of skill-based learning. Every lesson is planned with art integration. The only thing is for 3 years, we have had the paired state as Uttarakhand. So if we have different states, because we do deviate and we do with other states also. So the hand is also coming into play.
And will automatically come.
The hard part is more crucial now.
So what is the normal heart rate? Huh? 60 to 100 beat per minute.
Teachers have to be stress-free, and then the fun element should be integrated into the lessons.
So I think that metrics through your CCTV camera, you have to realize whether that heartbeat is between 60 to 100 or not for every child. And you can easily detect if there is any anomaly. Huh?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. We'll do that.
You rightly said, sir, the heart is important. And I think with that, I would like Niharika from DPS Greater Noida to step in. So the AND team is doing beautiful work in terms of working closely with teachers as well as students to bridge this gap from both ends. So Niharika, please feel free to share your inputs. So how do you at AND team contribute towards achieving a good ratio of head, heart and hand?
Right. Thank you so much, Divya. I think it's been a very, very, insightful interaction that we've had from all the panelists. Now, when we talk of the 3 H's here, the first thing that we need to understand is that all the 3 H's, whether it's the head, heart, and hands, they are integral parts of the human existence. And they're also very closely connected to each other. And all the 3 also have a very specific role to play in the life of any individual, for that matter. So the head, for instance, is responsible for rational thinking, creativity, making decisions, problem solving, which is a very indispensable part of development of overall life skills. The heart encompasses the EQ, the emotional or the affective component, which now research also tells us that it's very, very essential for the overfunctioning in any environment, whether it's your personal or professional front. And the hands symbolize actions, or they involve skill sets. The hands, in fact, will be impacted by either of the two, the head or the heart. So essentially what the aim of all educators and any counseling team especially should focus on is development of the upper hemisphere, which is the head, the cognition, where we are able to help children to master thinking so that they are able to overcome sort of getting swayed by emotions in a moment of impulse. Because essentially what we're trying to teach children is the ability to navigate through their emotions. right? Developing their EQ. So I think it's very difficult to say what proportion we are talking about, because as Sir also has very rightly pointed out, there's no manual to suggest what component, but it has to be very specific to the situation that we are talking of. But yes, all three are very, very integral parts, and to avoid anyone would kind of be unjust, so that would be my. Thank you so much.
Beautifully put, Niharika, and I think tightly said. I think facilitating and empowering students to be able to, engage their head, heart, and hands ultimately becomes important, even though for each child it may be different. So with that, we'll move to the last question of the evening. And Niharika, I would invite you to ask Mr. Saha the question that we have from DPS Greater Noida.
Right. Thank you so much. So, sir, my question would be that as professionals in the field, we need to continue upskilling and training ourselves to be informed about the best global practices. So, what are some of the latest approaches that educators can use to enhance the well-being of their students while also ensuring that practical learning outcomes are being achieved in the classroom setting?
Yeah. So, first of all, how to create a conducive environment. For that, upskilling is very much required. And many a times, many of the thought leader may disagree. But it is with respect to the time, because school is fixed. Teachers are also more or less fixed. But we are getting new generations. Again, after 1 year, another new entrants are coming. And batch by batch, the different unique behavioral patterns are entering to your classroom. So to understand them, I think every year teachers also needs the upskilling. And that's why NEP talks about 50 hours capacity development programs every year for school leader and teachers. So that basic nuisance of what actually driving, whether it is in the STEM education, art integration, sports activities, and of course that mental health, well-being, and ultimately creating a positive environment in the school. So leadership to curriculum delivery, assessment, even for the assessment also every year you need a new kind of training.
Yes.
And how you can give freedom to the child. That need to be strategized. And through assessment also, you can win over the heart. So my submission would be every teachers need to be trained every year afresh, and how we can build a community of teachers. So maybe Niharika, you can take a lead role to create a community of counselor. And through hub of learning, Kiranji, Sanskriti, and of course from Revati Sundaran ma'am from Bangalore, all of you can, IRA's knowledge bank. So ultimately you can create a community of multiple activities. And those community itself every day, like Wikipedia, you are also going to get many things in the platform. And that can be treated as a 5 hours of your training or learning through your community development program. Let me pause here. I think it's already 5.
Sir, totally agree with whatever you said, sir. The child should feel the joy of coming to school.
Yes.
We should create a caring environment for the children.
Absolutely. Sir, I do agree, because
allow the children to grow
Sorry.
at their own pace, and we should not compare students with others.
Yeah. And at the same time, sharing resources is the answer, sir. As you had already spoken about it.
Yes.
Hubs of learning, and also the kind of counselors that each school has, or material they have prepared, or strategies they have used. If we can share, each one will have at least 10, and it will become 100 with 10 schools. So I think that is the best way to do it.
And in under HPC, actually every child's potential need to be understood. And for that, different scientific pattern you can use. जरूरी नहीं है संस्कृति schools का these tools would be applicable, but partially 40%, 60% of the tools can be readily usable in DPS Noida. Or maybe some customizations is required based on the local environment. So through that, I think a lot of things we can achieve. And ultimately, you rightly mentioned that joy of coming to the schools, that need to be noticed in everyday lives. Okay, thank you.
Excellent.
It's a
Thank
nice
you so much,
interaction
sir.
with you all.
Thank you. Wonderful. And collaboration is very important, as you said. We must collaborate. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
So
you.
I think we've had some great inputs from everybody today, from Dr. Saha to all the educational leaders who've joined us today. And with that, I would like to invite closing notes from Mr. Saha.
No closing note, only let us be happy and also let our children be happy. That's all.
Oh,
Thank
thank you so much. Thank you so much. And my Pigu keeps making everyone happy.
Yes. Thank you, my Pigo. Especially Chetan.
Chetan, yes.
We have
Everyone. The
wonderful
wonderful
practices. Sir, I would like to mention, we don't call counseling rooms as a counselor or counseling room. We call it the mind garden.
Excellent.
And it's beautifully done up by the my Pigu people. And it's inviting. There are some plants and colorful, art and craft work. So children don't feel intimidated or, feel different to enter the room, or it's done very well by the my Pigu team.
Thank you so much for highlighting that, ma'am. Kiran ma'am, for all of us.
Thank you so much, Divya. It was a wonderful session. And my Pigu, I must appreciate that you are doing a wonderful work, helping people. Like if we talk about different sessions, as we are doing conscious parenting, sessions on conscious parenting or parenting and with the students every day and with the teachers. That is excellent. And I must appreciate and congratulate you. We love to have you all the times in school, and all the educators we have been sharing. I think this was a beautiful platform. Dr. Biswajit Saha is always a wonderful person, such a nice ideas. I mean, as he has highlighted about new education policy, collaboration, making hubs of learning, I think if we can put in our own ideas together, 10 of us can make 100 ideas, 10 from each. So such a wonderful thing, wonderful idea. There can be no constraint. We can share sitting in Hyderabad, sitting in Bangalore, in Haryana, in Delhi, in Noida. We can always talk to each other. We can always find solutions. And as sir very rightly said, we also shared the same thing, that not discussing the name, but discussing the problem and then finding the solution. Such a beautiful platform we can have. And thank you so much for organizing such a beautiful and wonderful session on this special day, World Mental Health Day. I wish that everyone in the world should be happy and should be mentally healthy. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you, Kiran ma'am. It was lovely to hear from you. It was lovely to know the best practices at Bright Scholars School, Sonipat. Yamini ma'am, I would love for you to add your thoughts towards the closing notes.
Thank you, Divya. Thank you so much. And thank you for this platform to introduce wonderful leaders and for sharing our experiences and thoughts. It would be great if we would have, collaborated for furthermore meets like this and, continue our journey further. Thank you.
We very much appreciate that, ma'am, and looking forward to collaborating with all of you again in the future. Niharika, we would love to know any last thoughts from your end.
So mainly everything is being summarized beautifully by all the panelists, but I think the last takeaway that I would like to add is that all of us here, from whatever I've heard, are trying to create a cultural change in our own respective local universe, as I like to call it. So it's mainly focused on creating a happy and a conducive environment for children, because problems, as we call them, or concerns, will never stop coming up, but it's all about being solution focused, right? So that's the kind of cultural environment we're now trying to create across the globe.
Revati ma'am, we would love to hear from you once again.
One more point I would like to add is we can engage students in community-related activities. They should become contributors so that they, inculcate values like compassion, empathy, humility. And they go out in the open world to see how other people are. They will learn by themselves, I feel. And so it was a good learning, and we'll continue our interactions further. Thank you so much for the wonderful opportunity.
Thank you for joining us, ma'am. Dr. Dakshayani, over to you.
Thank you, Divya. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and listen to everyone. Thank you, Bishwadit Saha sir, for all the inputs that you have given. My only thing is, Divya, that CBSE is actually training, because we're all from CBSE schools. I would like to brag a little bit. They already have a lot of training that is going on, making happy classrooms.
Yes.
Looking at social emotional learning. You're looking at experiential learning. Head, heart, hand is there everywhere. Ethics and values. All the trainings are happening online. They're free trainings. We need to ensure that the teachers go through these trainings and the trainings are implemented in the class. Unfortunately, after the training, it stops there. Taking it to the classroom and observing whether it is being done in the classroom is what we need to work on. And as I told you, this is a golden opportunity. You people are there to help and ensure that that compassion and then the need for empathy is coming in the students. And once that comes in, I think they will be compassionate. They will be the ones who will help other children in distress. And we are there only to facilitate. We are no more sage on the stage. We are a part of the whole setup, and we are trying to make sure that there is happiness, joyfulness in the classrooms. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was lovely to have you. And, as the closing note, I would like to say that few main points that we've covered today is definitely that change starts higher up, right? So I'm very glad to have all of you here today, and I want to thank you to be the leaders who are bringing in this change, to be thought leaders who are starting this chain reaction of events, which is going to help us achieve that vision. And, a big applause to all of you for being such a leader. And with that, I think we will close for the today. It was done. And we would love to have you for more such live streams, more opportunities, more webinars. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations to my Pigu, Chetan, Divya, and team. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Divya. Thank you, everyone.